Hello, welcome to Big Blue News. I'm one of your hosts, Megan.
And I'm your other host, Ava. Hey Megan, can I tell you a secret?
Of course.
I hate the news.
How could you hate the news? The news is a wonderful thing.
I guess I'm just tired of being misinformed and how a lot of it can be fake. I
Well,
also live under a rock.
Well, I guarantee that by the time we're done with this episode of Big Blue News, you'll love the news. Our first story tonight comes from Griffin Brum, who took a look into how elementary schools of Swampscott are readjusting to recent openings.
Here in Swampscott, like in towns all over the country, teachers have been forced to teach their students through Zoom in a fully online format or hybrid learning. But after 5 long months, the higher-ups here in town have decided it's time to go back. As long as there's no more setbacks like the house party that happened a couple weeks ago, the elementary schools are set to have back April 5th.
So the positives is just getting to see them every day, see how happy they are to be in school with each other, getting to be able to finish assignments and not have them so choppy then from being on Zoom and doing asynchronous work. So just being back in school together is the super positive. The obstacles. Building stamina, I'm going to say that right now, being the second day of all back in school, is the kids need to get used to being there all day, and the teachers. I'm exhausted just from teaching 6 hours today, so that is a big adjustment.
Wasn't that cool?
It's just the news, man. I don't like any of it.
Well, why don't you introduce the next story?
Sure, I guess. Doesn't mean I like it. Boston has been the center of Massachusetts since 1632, when it became our capital. Both reopenings finally happening, the question remains, when will Boston gyms open up again? Dakari Forrester sought to find this out.
What?
When will Boston gyms open back up? In late February, Gov. Charlie Baker announced how the state will move to a new phase March 1st, which allows for casinos, arcades, indoor performance venues, skating rinks, trampoline parks, and obstacle courses to open back up. However, there's a lack of open gyms where people can go to play basketball. Those who are playing basketball in a gym are usually on a team. This results in many non-team players meeting up to play basketball on an outdoor court.
Alright, I got a few questions for you today.
I feel like they should open them up eventually. I feel like they've had them closed for a little bit, like too long. But I understand it at the same time because COVID is for real and it is a deadly virus. So
Let's see.
I think by June they should all be open because that's when summer's gonna be.
Yeah.
So I feel like all the kids are gonna need something to do.
Yeah.
And all the hoopers and athletes and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I feel like summer should be good. I feel like we quarantined pretty
Yeah.
well. I feel like that's that's pretty fair. I feel like that's pretty fair because like they're all coming together at the end of the day. So it's not like they don't know what they're doing, and it's not like it's on Zoom. So at least it's like in person. But like no participating. I don't know about all that, but other than that, them coming together just in general, I feel like that's okay.
Alright, thanks.
Although the weather is becoming warmer, players would still like to play basketball on the indoor court. Right back to you, Dakari.
See, wasn't that great?
It wasn't that bad, I guess.
Now you're getting it.
I still hate the news, though.
Sure, buddy. Cleanliness has been a huge talking point ever since the pandemic began, and even debatedly before the pandemic started. Well, in order to combat bad hygiene, our very own DLC has been making soap. Isaiah Fernandez and Liga Fomina gave us a look into soap construction.
The Discovery Learning Center at Swampscott High School has started a new online business because the DLC store is closed due to COVID. They are selling beautiful art and soaps handmade by students right in their classroom.
This is a DLC program to teach kids vocational learning.
Yes, my students in the Discovery Learning Center are making artisanal soap because we couldn't do all the vocational activities we usually do, like running the school store or selling coffee. So instead, we tried to make an online website, and that's where we sell all of our things, like soap. And it's a way that we can sell things while there's still a pandemic. So we do it in like a contactless way. It's like COVID safe. And we chose soap because it's clean and it's fun, and we get to add fun smells to it. We get to add cool colors, and it's a really fun learning experience.
Okay, now I know what to say.
Go ahead.
I heard that you're making soaps for the Discovery Learning Center. How do you make them?
That's a great question. We are making soaps to sell, and we have to buy all of these really cool materials. And when they come, we order it on Amazon. We get to open these boxes, and there's this huge block of clear glycerin soap, and it's like a big block that we have to use a soap cutter to cut everything down, and then we cut them into really little pieces and we remelt it. And when we melt it, we add different scents to it, and then we add different colors. Sometimes we add glitter, and then we have to pour it into these really cool molds. So we add scents like lavender, and we have a peppermint one. We've added colors like silver, and we've added tons of glitter like rainbow glitter and things that make the soap look like mermaid colors or rainbows. And then we've also poured them into these big molds. Some of them look like flowers. Some of them look like the ocean because they have little waves through them. And then when you pour the soap in, it melts. I mean, it's melted, so it cools down. And when it's done cooling, it turns into your soap that you've added. So it's like really creative, and you get to make your own unique stuff. It's awesome. And
Besides the expensive of learning how to make soap, students are learning how to market and sell a product. From what we are seeing, they are having fun too.
Hey, that one was pretty cool.
I told you you'd like the news.
I still don't.
I know you want to introduce the next one.
I guess, but only so you don't have to do everything.
Awesome.
This last semester has been a wild ride, hasn't it? Obviously, everyone has a different perspective on the COVID semester. Deshaun Davis wanted to ask our SHS staff how they felt about the last few months of school.
To promote trust, schools reopening strategy requires engaging the entire school community to establish a safe environment for all educators, school staff, and students. A huge issue is asking students to attempt to learn materials by themselves in remote learning. How ineffective it is to compare to learning in person, even for adults attempting to do the same. One thing that can benefit students and teachers on a national level would be to have homework in order to keep both sides on the same page, in which students may need more help or those who are already. The past years, how much harder or easier was it to form a relationship with your student right now?
Another interesting question. It's going to take me a while to answer that. So the interesting thing about this year is that it allowed me to build relationships with students who I otherwise may never even had a conversation with. Based on just the small numbers of students who were in the building, the groups of students who came in the building, those who had to be here or wanted to be here. And it's been an interesting phenomenon, and I'm sure everybody's kind of aware of it. Like I always use the lunchroom as the example. There's certain sections where certain cliques sit, and then those full cliques weren't in the building all at the same time. So then all of a sudden it's really like, who's here? And then, okay, well, like you're here and we'll get to build a relationship. And so that was like a really fun part of the year of just getting to meet different students. And I also think students who learned how to leverage Zoom, I did have a lot of one-on-one meetings like this, just with people either doing projects or had questions. And those would be students who may just go to a guidance counselor in the past, or may go to Miss Kelly, or they might go to a teacher and never come to the dean of students. And so I got to meet students that way. And then I think my takeaway moving forward.
A huge issue is asking students to attempt to learn materials by themselves in remote learning. How ineffective it is to compare to learning in person, even for adults attempting to do the same. One thing that can benefit students and teachers on a national level would be to have homework in order to keep both sides on the same page, in which students may need more help or those who already move on. What is one lesson you learned from remote learning?
I learned I never want to do it again. And I don't know that I learned something so much as it reinforced something that I already believed very deeply. And that is that relationships between teachers and students come first, because only with a good relationship can real learning take place. You need that trust. And it doesn't hurt if you like each other and you can have a little fun in class. But we we had to sacrifice the quality of our connections and relationships. And that overall made the education experience less than what it is in person, for sure.
For teachers and students, we still managed to have a successful year in COVID-19. Despite the many challenges they faced, hopefully next year will be closer to learning we had in the past. And maybe even a little stronger due to the challenge we were able to overcome.
Nice work, reporter.
Our next story comes from...
Wait, is it okay if I introduce the next story?
Really? Do you mean it? Do you really like the news that much?
Cool your jets, Megan. It's just an introduction. Our next story comes out of this very TV studio. You've probably seen the live streams of our sports team's recent games, but did you ever ask, how did we get here? Dawson DeBari asked that question and found the answers he was looking for.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Swampscott High School TV production team has focused on getting all live sporting events recorded, streamed, and posted for everyone to watch. They have streamed winter sports and now are starting the fall 2 season.
Baskin lines up to the left of O'Brien this time. 2 wide receivers left, 1 wide receiver right. There's another read option. O'Brien goes right up the middle. Untouched for a big blue touchdown. Dominant first drive from the Big Blue offense.
Swampscott Media Director and Caleb TV Coordinator. The people who have watched the live streams have shown overwhelming support. Coaches and players have also really enjoyed the ability to go back and watch the full game to see what they have to work on. For every game, the production team includes a technical director in the control room who monitors the live stream and updates the graphics, a camera operator, and an announcer. You can catch this team hard at work on cable TV or on youtube.com/Swampscott Big Blue Athletics.
You seem like you're having fun.
I guess so. Don't make such a big deal out of it, Megan.
Okay, whatever. The METCO program, a system that takes students from Boston to schools around the suburbs, has been around for such a long time. While it's been successful for the majority of its existence, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused some issues in the infrastructure through the introduction of the hybrid learning. Nakari Davis interviewed many METCO students and got their takes on the difficulties.
I've considered playing basketball, but with the bus's schedule and me not being able to move on my own time and having to move with the bus's schedule, I couldn't be able to play. I wouldn't be able to play basketball with the things I have to do outside of school. It just wouldn't fit in my schedule.
Like, we had the bus in the morning and like, yeah, that was fine. But then like, we had like football practice and basketball practice, and that kind of sucked because normally like on a regular day when we're in school and we have the bus, we're in school, and like all we have to do is just figure like a ride, get a ride from our friends to like practice, or like troop it over there, like just take a train or whatever, do whatever you have to do to get like to Swampscott, and then like you go through all that mess, and then like you have to, you know, do all of that.
Knowing that I have to be up early and like be prepared to catch the bus is something that did help me for this year.
Right. When days are half days, considering there only has been a few that weren't on Wednesdays, do you find it a waste of time coming to school or getting on the bus in the morning for a few hours of classes and to head back, considering there isn't a late bus on a half day either?
I do find, yes, it does seem like a waste of time because I'm coming to school for 45-minute classes just to go back home a couple hours later. Yes, it is a waste of time.
Already, like, I barely get sleep. It's just like coming like home back from like, like just trooping, like just traveling, like just already having a long day at Swampscott, and then like you have to travel back because you have to wait for the trains or whatever. Like you get home we probably get home at like 9, 10, like.
The hours spent getting to school is like an hour spent that I could have been making up work in the morning. But I'm just instead of making up the work, I'm on the bus with very little data heading to school. Then after school, when I'm supposed to be doing my work, I'm heading back on the bus to get home. By the time I'm home, it's like an hour, 30 minutes later, and schedules change and I have things to do.
You're gonna have to like squeeze everything in, like either like you're not like motivated or like you just don't have the energy for it, or like you just barely have time and like you're just really tired or something.
I don't get much time to work on my homework as other kids would.
Like every single year just helped me grow, and like it just helped like me get used to everything, and like you just try your best to like squeeze everything in and like try to get used to the schedule. It's weird for everybody, and like it's just weird for me. So like, yeah.
Hybrid learning seemed hard before, but I never thought it was that difficult.
Yeah, that seems pretty inconvenient. You want to introduce the next one?
Fine. Have you ever wanted to change one thing in your life? Sure, it's not always possible, but if you could change anything, what would you change? Nick Pacheco explored this deep question and found some interesting answers.
Today, I'm here to ask people if they had one opportunity to change the world, what would they change?
If I could change the world, I would create a world where everyone had the same equal opportunities, regardless of their socioeconomic status or their cultures or their race. I would create a world where no matter where you live, you go home and you feel safe and you have a family that loves you.
The one thing about the world that I would change is I would change how many crappy parents there are. I would change that and change it into a place where everybody has like normal parents and everybody has like a happy home and kids can grow up with normal parents in a happy home.
I could change the world. I'd probably change hate. I'd throw hate right out the window. Hate controls our world and it turns best friends into enemies.
I would create a world that everyone had food to eat, no matter the amount of money they make. I would create a world where people weren't judged, that everybody was accepted for who they are, and people could practice what they wanted to practice, that they could love who they wanted to love without being judged by other people.
Because kids deserve to be kids, and I don't think anything should take that away from them, and I hate to see it happen to people. So if there's one thing I would change, I would take away all the crappy parents. And
Many things need to be changed in our world, and here are just a few things that people said.
That's a deep question. I'm not sure what I would change.
I would change the fact that you don't like the news.
Haha, very funny.
I told you the news was good.
I never said that, but maybe the news isn't so bad after all.
I knew you'd come around. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Big Blue News. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Also remember to ring that bell. We'll see you next time.